Welcome to an incomplete guide to personal growth. We invite you to take a breath and take a listen to our podcast that explores the wonder, humor, challenges, and sometimes those self-inflicted wounds on a journey of personal growth.
Our weekly podcast conversations include stories, resources, and tools that you can incorporate into your daily life. We're the mother-daughter duo of Sydney
And Kelly.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, Sydney.
Woo, second episode of the year.
Yeah.
So exciting.
It
So
is.
you got
I got a text from Dad.
Yeah,
Your
from my grandpa.
Yeah. And, it's wonderful. He's so up on technology. He can't see anymore. So thank goodness for Siri.
Yes, and talk to
Because
text.
that's how he texts. And I absolutely love his text because he just talks.
He does.
So it's
They're
not
great.
like when I text and I edit stuff. You just talk so you feel more like it's him.
Yeah.
And which I really love. But I got a text about cookies. There's a German cookie called Springerles. And my grandmother made them. My mom made them.
Tastes like
Dad made
like
it. There's
licorice.
anise in it. So that's
it's like licorice,
type.
yeah.
But they're great. I love them. And you dip them in tea and they're really good. Yeah. So anyway, the tradition was we've always made them. Well, he can't make them anymore. And so he gave me the press to make them. They're very difficult to make.
Yes.
They take a day or two.
They take a full,
depending.
yeah.
And then with my luck, there's an 80% chance they're not going to turn out anyway.
Yeah.
So he was telling me about wanting me to make them this year. But the text heard him differently.
Okay.
So he texted me something, and it was to the effect of, "Oh, Kelly, I can't wait, for you to make the cookies since you have the press and you have everything you need. I can't wait to get my spring ladies." Instead of Springerles, it heard spring ladies. And all I can think of is showing up with a bunch of ladies in the spring.
Oh my God.
So anyway.
That's so funny.
But isn't that the way text is?
Isn't it? It is.
If you're talking and you don't check, or he can't.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not
he
him.
can't, but yeah. He
every
knows.
once in a while we get a real fun text
Funny
like
one.
that.
That's so good. It is. I do. The talk to text is nice, especially, for that, like he cannot see.
Right.
So for that reason, especially to keep connected. And it is good that he's up on tech when most older people are not.
They aren't. And, I've started using that more because it's so much faster.
It is faster. And then, we can read back and edit it real quick, But
So anyway, but spring ladies are coming.
Yes, every now and then we get a funny
I have this picture of these little ladies.
edit.
Flower
Love
people
it.
or something,
So good. I know. And you won't be making them though.
No, not this year.
Not this year. That's a little too
maybe
intensive.
sometime in my life.
Yeah.
Somebody else in the family needs to take
do
that up, 'cause
yes.
I'm not a baker.
No.
It just messes up my kitchen that I don't use, so I don't want to mess it up.
Maybe he'll forgive you.
Forgive me, I hope.
Yes, our little segue into.
So I ordered some.
Quit it! I'm doing a segue.
I'm sorry.
I said forget.
I heard you.
What's
it's
our
really
theme?
Good forgiveness.
Thank
And
you.
he will forgive me for
And you just
ordering them instead of making them.
There you go.
See.
Okay.
You got your segue.
I got my
really
segue.
good.
Thank you. So we're continuing with our theme of starting you guys off, on the right foot this year. So last week is about how to love yourself.
Yes.
And then a big part of that, when we were talking about this month, we came up with being able to forgive yourself. Like a lot of times it's easier, not that it's always easy, but easier usually to forgive other people. And then we tend to hold on to our mistakes and our things.
I'm wondering if that's a myth.
Really?
We say we forgive other people.
But do we really?
I don't know. Forgiveness is hard.
Forgiveness is so hard.
I mean, I can forgive somebody for eating the last cookie.
Yeah.
Unless they do it every year.
That's true.
Then I'm probably hanging on to it. I don't know. But, it depends. There's deep forgiveness. There's deep stuff in there. So I guess it just depends.
God, you're already starting off with
this is a tough topic. I don't know how we're going to cover it all.
We'll cover some of it at least.
Yeah, we're going to get there.
We can always talk about it again.
Oh, yeah, it's just hard.
Man, that's so true. So I just want to start off with what forgiveness is. I think everybody has their own idea of what it is. But, and I kind of looked online, and I do think that some of this is true. It's just stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone. It's like an intentional decision to let those feelings go. And forgiving is not forgetting. We know that phrase.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's to not let those feelings take hold and rule your life anymore.
Right.
That's what I think of as like forgiveness. It's like, I'm not letting those feelings around me about that situation, you know?
And you're saying, I'm not going to let those feelings. And that is true.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen the first time you say that.
No. It's a process.
Right? It is such a process. And so this is a book that I'm going to list online. It's old as can be, but it is really helpful. And
what's it called?
It's called Forgiveness: The Passionate Journey. And by Flora Slauson Wellner. Willner. Anyway,
German. Anyway.
Yeah, I will get that out. It is faith based. But if you take forgiveness is forgiveness.
Yeah.
She says forgiveness is a major release, a release from the prison and burden of the past. This release does not mean release from responsibility for what was done, either by me or by somebody else, nor does it nor does release necessarily mean release from paying a penalty to this world. It means release from the chains of resentment and guilt that hold us back from entering freedom. And the new beginning that we can start.
Yeah.
It means release from the expectations and obligations of the past, so that we and those maybe who we've injured or who have injured us can start anew.
Oh.
And it doesn't mean, well, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we're all going to be happy together.
Yeah. But
it doesn't mean reconciliation.
Yes. And I think, it's kind of like, I feel like the way we treat like we teach it, you kind of have to just teach kids to be like, you have to say, I'm sorry. And like, you need to be able, and then the person accepting needs to accept it, and you need to move on and play with each other. It's like, you kind of have to teach it that way, because otherwise it just isn't, I don't know. It's just not going to be done. And kids can't fully understand that deepness, right?
I just had this thought this moment. We're teaching it backwards.
Okay.
I get, we are supposed to, okay, they say you're sorry, you say it's okay. Or you say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But do we ever process why we're sorry?
Yeah.
We teach them to say they're sorry.
But we don't usually tell them to say the reason.
But do we really talk about the implications of what was done?
Yeah.
Because we move on fast.
We do.
We want to move on fast.
Yeah.
Society wants to move on fast. Even adults want to move on fast.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no. Do we talk about,
what happened?
you're sorry, let me process that?
Yeah.
With people that are close, to go, I'm still kind of mad, and it's going to take me a little bit because this was hurt. This was,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying,
a good point. But it's like the way we teach it is kind of that quicker version.
Right.
And again, kids and their attention spans and their
right.
ability,
you do.
And so it's like you can't, but then you almost, I feel like then as we get older, we don't really change the way we teach it. Sorry, Mom, but I don't remember being taught as I got older that, Lauren said she's sorry, and I'm not allowed. Like, I didn't even think to be like, well, I can take time to process. I can be mad. It wasn't necessarily
You're right.
taught
we probably
that
didn't
way.
talk about it. That's what I'm saying. We didn't talk. And I know that Dad and I practiced making sure we said we apologize in front of you for what we did.
Yes. Yeah.
Or gee, I didn't handle that really well. I'm sorry for that.
Yes. And I definitely saw that.
I don't know how I don't know, thinking back.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to get through.
I know.
Just teasing.
But it's like,
but you're
but
right.
you do have this time to process. But then the point of forgiveness later is that you do
Yes.
at some point release
And
those feelings.
I think our faith may also play into that. You know, it's this,
That's
you repent,
true.
you turn around, it's okay.
Yeah.
God loves you now, and Jesus loves you, and forgave your sin. He died
like-
for your sins,
and
and
everybody
that's a
always
whole
says-
quick thing there. And it's like, no, it's deeper than
I know.
that.
And they always reference the thing of like, how many times did Jesus say that you're supposed to forgive someone?
Yeah.
70 times or whatever. It's
Yes.
like, okay, yes, but like, surely there's more to
There is, and this book touches on
Touch on that. That's good.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think we do this quick version of it, and we don't allow the person who has been hurt, or even ourselves when we've hurt others, to sit with that discomfort, because
Yes.
it's discomfort. It's not
It
fun
is.
to go when somebody has done something to me. Why did that really hurt me? It wasn't, why am I angry? There's something behind the anger. Or why did that hurt? There's something behind it. Mm-hmm. And to sit with that.
That's true.
There's a lot of steps to forgiveness.
There's so many. I think, okay, I want to break down just a few, like, very surface level, simple ones. Mm-hmm. Like, I think the first one, obviously, is recognition and acknowledgement that someone got hurt, one way or another. Acknowledge what happened, whatever was said, whatever was done.
Yeah.
And then there's this, I think what you're kind of getting is this reflection part. And I don't think we spend enough time in that. And then some other steps. Not necessarily.
Yeah. So I want to go back to your first step. Okay. Are we going to go through these fast and then come back?
Yes.
Okay. I'll wait my turn.
So we're reflecting, and then you get to this kind of release part for you. And then you can go out and choose to forgive the go to the person. So those are my surface level things.
And that's good. Yeah, that's what it is. I think acknowledge it. Another name, what she calls, is naming it. Naming it.
Okay.
Saying what it is.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
Who's responsible?
See, and that's hard because people...
How do I feel about what happened?
I will say that who's responsible part, it is, I think, I don't know why, but I feel like it's almost controversial now to just blame, it sounds like blaming someone. It's like, well, it's not all my fault. We all take part. I'm like, okay, but sometimes it is someone's fault.
It is. And it blaming, take the word blame out
it's
of it
blame.
and just say, this is what happened. Okay.
Yes.
And this is how I feel about what happened. And then what do I need now? Now this is let's talk about, there's two incidents. Let's say somebody did it to us. Let's say that, I don't want to say somebody ate the last cookie. That's too minor. But let's say that somebody,
I don't know.
What happened?
Said something
demeaning to me. Let's say I'm at work. And a coworker says, that was the stupidest thing you said to our client.
Yeah.
And says it in that way.
Yeah.
Well, okay, what just happened?
Yeah.
I got name called. I got called out in front of people, maybe. Okay, how do I, who's responsible?
Yeah.
Well, the person that calls you out in front of somebody else is responsible. And how do I feel about that? Well, I feel humiliated. I feel shamed. I feel embarrassed. I feel angry. I feel hurt. You can list a host of things.
Yeah.
What do I need now? Well, what do I need? I need some account. Maybe I need to go to that person. Maybe I need space first. Or maybe what is it that I need?
Yeah.
I need to have a conversation with that person.
Yeah. About how I want to be spoken to, Yeah.
I mean, that's a kind of simple one, maybe.
Yeah, but...
And if I did that, what if I did that to somebody else? What? And then I suddenly realize it.
Yeah.
Oh God, I just spoke wrong.
Yeah.
To somebody and embarrassed them. I'm responsible for that. How do I feel about it? Well, now I even feel humiliated and ashamed that I did that. Or maybe I'm going to disguise that as, well, it's their fault. That's putting it on them. But if I'm being honest, I'm going to look at myself and go, you need to
Yeah, take a step back. Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to go have a conversation and apologize.
Yeah.
Really apologize. And wait for them to come around. Maybe they will accept it. Maybe they won't accept it at that time.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah. And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. So there's even within the acknowledging, there's this whole
Yeah.
process of naming.
Yeah. Funny story.
Yeah.
Whenever you said, I have to apologize, I have to really apologize. I mean, it makes me think of the time that I went to Lauren. I was like, no. And I was teaching her how to say, I'm sorry.
You were.
And I guess I didn't think you guys were paying attention.
I was watching. Yes.
And I was like, no, Lauren, you have to make your face and you have to look like this. I'm sorry. And like make it seven. And I was teaching
how you said it.
how to say it.
Because she would just go, sorry, yeah.
And laugh and
she
go
thought
around.
It was funny.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yes. So that whole acknowledging and naming,
yeah,
there's a process even within that to come to.
Yeah.
And then there is, you said the next
reflection.
Yeah. And this is making space for the anger and the pain. Then this is not fun to sit with, but what's behind my anger?
Ugh, there's always something behind anger.
Right? There's shame. Maybe I feel hurt. And we have to be vulnerable to look at that.
Yeah.
And go, I think back on stuff that I've had to get through and go, I'm so angry at myself and humiliated and embarrassed at myself because I didn't recognize I was being used.
Yes.
Well, how did I not see that?
Yeah.
So it's painful to sit back and look at some of that.
Yes.
But don't rush it.
Yeah.
And we may need a temporary separation from that person. Maybe longer, or that situation.
Yeah. And
then there's release.
Yeah.
You said,
like
right?
acceptance, release, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, kind of a release of it. And that release includes making some new choices.
Okay.
Because there's the turning, right?
Yeah.
And I put something in here because I thought that it would be good to read it. Now I don't know where.
You can take a sec to find it if you
want. The hard choices we need to make must include the question, does forgiveness mean restoration and reconciliation? When I'm releasing. Just how do we set valid limits to what we will and will not permit? How do we speak the truth in love? There's a lot of, and this is the other point I'm gonna read, and this comes from a Christian point of view. He pointed out that to repent means to turn around, and this challenge to turn around applies to the victim as much as the abuser or the person that did the wrong, right? The victim must also turn away from the submission of the abuse. I have to decide, I'm not going to be treated in this manner.
Yeah.
Whether in abuse can be very severe, or it can just mean somebody that did not honor me and do right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting that the release includes this. I have to change.
Yeah.
Somebody can tell me they're sorry, or I can be the wrongdoer and say I'm sorry. But if that person allows me to continue to treat them that way,
then nothing's changed.
And if I don't honor them by not changing, so there's both and.
That is.
That was powerful to me to go, I have to change my ways.
Yes.
I have to say, you know what? I'm just not going to keep being the family.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. What I'm expectation that was on.
Yeah.
I can't do that. So it's just kind of an interesting
thought
to think about.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
I'm going to ask this question. Wait.
Yeah. Go ahead. There's a couple other steps that I was going to say.
Go for it.
Sometimes it helps when we see the wounds of the wounder.
Yeah.
It doesn't make anything right.
Right. Yeah.
It humanizes them, and if we have a place where we think that humanity is sacred, then we might be able to see a sacred space within them.
Yeah.
Does not mean I walk back into the lion's den and go ahead, tear me apart.
Yeah.
It does not mean any of that. It just means that we get this wider view.
Yeah.
And also, trying to make peace is not being passive. It's not passivity.
Okay.
I'm going to try to make peace with this. It's hard. It's jumping into things that are unsettling.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that all turns out just the way we want it. I'm going to make peace and let everybody happy. It's not how it turns. That's not it.
Yeah.
But so forgiveness is this long journey that involves hard work.
Yeah. That's interesting. Peace is not passivity.
It's not, right?
Yeah, that's so
ahead.
good.
Now you have questions.
And this one we already talked about, so I know the answer. But
Okay.
what are some of the hardest things to forgive when it comes to others?
And it depends on your values. If you value honesty like as your top thing, then somebody that lies to you, it's going to be really hard. If I think that the world is full of liars and I really don't care, that's not going to bother me as much as something else.
Yeah.
And what I can say is that when someone does something to me, I can work forgiveness my way. And it's hard, but I can do it.
Yeah.
And I call on God to help me or to higher whatever's out there, spirit.
Yeah.
But if somebody does something to my kids, God, it churns within me. And I can think of one instance where it still just bugs the heck out of me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't physical harm, but there was harm done. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And this was years and years ago. And it's like, it's hard to forgive when somebody does something to somebody I love.
Yeah.
That I have. So that's the hardest part for me.
Oh, man.
Because I carry the pain of my kids.
Yeah.
Probably don't need to. But that's what happens as a parent.
Yes.
You have to learn to let that go too.
And then what about, do you have any thoughts on the hardest thing to forgive, like with ourselves? I guess that also probably just depends on the person.
It again depends on that. For me, I'll go over and over my head when I hurt somebody with my words. Because words are
they're so hurtful.
They're so powerful. They are so great at lifting people up, but they can just slice down a tree in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. It can just level people.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that is where I struggle. That's my hardest.
Yeah.
Of where I have hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And because I'll hear them over in my own head.
I think so. Yeah. I think so too.
And you can't take them back.
No.
You can say, because we say things in the heat, and I've got a mouth, and that's the problem. I don't think but I have gotten a lot better at that because of this.
Yeah, I think. See,
what about
I'm like,
you?
I don't have a mouth, really.
No, you're really good about that.
I really don't. I hold my tongue. But then there are times where it's hard and I wish I would have said something, or I wish I would have, either for myself or someone else, like said something, done something. And so in that way, sometimes that's like where it's hard. It's like I have to move on from not having said anything or find a way to move forward and maybe try and say something, it's like, so that's probably the hardest for me is like, I don't have a mouth and it's like, but I should have stood up. I wish I could. Yeah. And so forgiving the inaction.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I get, yes.
It's like forgiving and usually it's for myself. Like I tend, if it's somebody else, I tend to stand up for them, but it's like,
but for yourself and yourself, you're worthy, you're valuable. You are
I don't
worth more than
always
that.
defend that, So, I think that's
powerful.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, what are like spiritual steps, whatever we can do to take with
to me,
this forgiveness thing?
This book.
Yeah. Read that book. Mm-hmm.
Yes. But, because I have found, because we've kind of talked about these
steps.
Yeah,
we have. Mm-hmm.
If I take these steps on my own without some kind of spiritual depth and let's use the term God, spirit, higher power, whatever you want to, your term for that is, if I can't soften my own heart very well. And there have been times where I've prayed through years, and suddenly it softens, and I've been able to release some things. And to me, each step, naming it, and knowing I'm not alone in it, right?
So,
Making that space, knowing because the spirit, there's two aspects of that spirituality is I am worthy. I deserve. To, and when I can release that, forgiveness, I almost really, whatever somebody else did, the forgiveness isn't for them.
It's for yourself.
It's for yourself so that you can be free of the anger, the hatred it may be, all that built up. And go, because we can say in the old eye for an eye, whatever it will, it won't bring something back. If an opportunity has been stolen from me, if an innocence has been stolen, if an abuse has been taken place, and whatever that may be, I can't get it back. I can't unsee, I can't unhear, I can't get that back. So I have to free myself. And so it's really for me. And letting God allow me to live with the freedom of, you know what? I don't have to hold that anymore. And if whatever happens with that person, whether I get to say, I forgive you, it's not for them. It may be a gift for them at some point.
Right. And I think...
But it's kind of like I hear about the 12-step program when you're making amends.
That's one of the steps.
And that people may look at you and go,
right.
Go ahead. They may not take it in, but that's not, so it's not, it's for you to because in that you're acknowledging, what you've done, what you've said, what you, and in my forgiving, I'm acknowledging what has been done to me, and I am releasing it. To go, what, that doesn't have power anymore.
I think taking that back around to yourself too.
Right.
Like you can release for yourself.
I can release for myself. Kelly, you don't have to carry those words that you you sling around anymore. And hopefully I've apologized to the
and you've done what
people.
You can.
And I've done what I can, but forgiveness goes, guess what? And I think I read it when I opened up with forgiveness. It's I get to start again.
Yes.
I get to start again.
I like that.
I have a new beginning.
Yeah.
And that it's sacred. That is so sacred. And in the process of forgiveness, I may say I have forgiven, and all of a sudden, a year, 2, 5 later, all of a sudden that comes bubbling back up.
Oh.
Yeah, but that person is a son of a gun.
Thought
I was going to say something else, didn't you? That person is a son of a gun. And I have to go, let's try releasing again.
Are there...
It comes back.
And I feel like there are probably people where it's easier to do some of that quicker forgiving too than others. I mean, because you and Dad, there are probably things he does.
Yeah.
You've been married for you probably don't even know how many years. But it's like, you just know you can kind of release it quicker. Release it. Or maybe even things from me and Lauren. You're you just release. But then, maybe it's someone, maybe it's a friend and you're close and they do something that's that's a little hard, or maybe there's...
Right, and it takes a little longer and it comes back.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay. But I know this person. I know their sacredness. I know their heart. And then there are people who have done things, not even to me, but I want the world to be a better place.
Yeah.
So I have to hope for the best for them. Because if they don't, they're just going to keep spewing their dung
hatred, whatever,
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's
and
true.
so I hope for the best.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
That's hard.
But I do.
Yeah.
I truly, I have to, that's,
you have to think about
that's
it.
Beyond me.
Yeah.
That's where I have that call for the spiritual power.
That's so good.
So Mahatma Gandhi says, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. I
I
saw that. I was
like that.
It is, and the reason, because it's hard.
It is hard.
And it takes work. It's not a one and done.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to come from a deep place to last.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Forgiveness is not superficial.
It isn't.
It can't be.
You know, it can't be.
Or it's not real.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it may take me a week when you take the last cookie. It may take that long. No.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll link the book for sure.
Yes. Yeah. We
That'll be
will.
really helpful.
It's just,
Yeah.
I said it's an older book, but it just, you
Yeah,
know,
you can get a lot from
forgiving from the heart is not easy. Over and over, we may need to return to the earlier stages, and it may take a long time for us to feel and experience its fullness and completeness. But when you do, that freedom that we get to walk with
Yeah.
is priceless.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is.
It's worth the hard work because if we fester with that anger, and sometimes we want to hold on to it because what will I put in its place?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, I like chewing out that, blah, 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 you know, but
Yeah.
but you know what? I think it'll affect our bodies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Anyway. Good. So I'm sure, honestly, we'll probably come back to forgiveness again. But
There's many
it's good to start your
aspects of
year
it.
off with some
Yeah.
forgiveness. New beginning.
New beginnings. New beginnings.
And we'll be getting into, I know, motivation will be another topic this month, getting you motivated for the year. And yeah, if you have anything for the new year that you want us to talk about, we hope that you will let us know. You can message us on Instagram, we have a contact page on our website, email us, an incompleteguide@gmail.com, whatever your preferred method is. Yeah.
And we look forward to next week when we take a breath and take a listen.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of An Incomplete Guide to Personal Growth. There are many ways you can stay connected. Follow us on Instagram at An Incomplete Guide Podcast, where you can sign up for our email list and get posts that delve deeper into our weekly topics. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast page wherever you listen to your podcasts. We would really appreciate a rating and sharing us with your family and friends.
We're so glad you chose to spend your time with us and hope there was a thought, a resource, or a laugh that you can take on your journey. We'll be here every Tuesday for you to take a breath and take a listen.